back to my YouTube channel. Today I'll show you how I created this, which is today's daily design. This is a little bit different, sort of like a walkthrough. I screen recorded everything. Let's jump right into it. I started by screen recording my phone. I found this cool pattern on the gate and I knew I wanted to create something with it, so I just knew I had to take a photo of it. Anyways, this is the photo I got. So I brought the photo into Photoshop and added a new layer. I then grabbed my brush tool and got this brush that I really like that I made a while back. And it's a little funky. It kind of looks like it's like ink bleed a little bit and it's changing size and it's really cool. I really like it. And then I start basically tracing the heart and the pattern of it. I adjust the smoothing to 50% just because I was using my trackpad. You guys know I'm crazy. It would have been better if I were using like a tablet or something, but I was using my laptop trackpad, so my lines are kind of wonky, but I guess it's also fine if the lines are wonky because we want that like ink bleed distress handmade effect, which is cool. So I'm just tracing this heart. This was the gate of this guy who makes gates. So it makes sense that he has a cute gate design on it, because it's literally his job. Anyways, I found lots of cool patterns around his property. I obviously took photos of them and will be using them to create more stuff, whether it's frames or patterns or daily designs, I don't know. I started doing this swirly thing on the sides, but telling you, I changed my mind after. I didn't like them anymore. I just put a random dot. A little trick to make your lines this straight. Just start making your line and hold down the shift key and it will keep it straight for you. This is how I managed to make it that straight while using my trackpad on my laptop. I use it all the time. So helpful to create straight lines. Yeah, see, now I understood I didn't like those swirly things, so I went back. Command Z. Also, little premise, when I'm working on my daily designs, I'm not usually too careful about smart objects and non-destructive editing, just because the daily design, it's sort of like letting my ideas flow freely. So I kind of like the opportunity of not going back. When I feel the design is done, it's done. I can't change it. And it's a cool part of this daily design thing that I do. So I just go with what I'm feeling and not think about the process too much or the steps to get there. I just have a random idea and I try to execute it, and that's usually how it goes. But when I'm doing client work, that's a different thing, or when I'm doing tutorials or stuff like that, it's totally different. I try to always use smart objects and non-destructive adjustments and effects and all that stuff, because it's obviously very important. Also, I rename the layers when I'm doing client work. When I'm doing these types of designs, they're just for me and I post them on Instagram, so I don't even save the PSD files. I just save the JPEG and go on with my day. So that's the premise. Anyways, I've basically finished up the tracing part, deleted the image, and I'm trying to make a pattern or some sort of frame. So I duplicated it and I am gonna go with a top and bottom frame. Speed this up a little bit. Here's the text part. I went with paragraph form so that I can justify it that way. And then I added a texture from my latest texture pack, which is free and will be linked in the description below. To add this sort of distressed effect, I usually double click on the layer, and then in the blend if underlying layer, I usually divide those two sliders till I get this effect. And then I added a color overlay to change the color of the pattern and of my text. And now I basically ruined everything, have to go back because I decided that I don't want them to be so squished together. I want half of it to be at the top part of the poster and the other half to be at the bottom part of the poster. I don't want them to be so in the center, so I basically just have to do that slider separating thing again, that blend if thing again. So I move these, and now I'm pretty happy with the position of them, but I'm thinking that the center part is empty now. So I want to add the main heart design in those trending bevel that you can see and not see, like bevel effects in the background. So that's what I'm doing. I'm cutting out one of the hearts from the pattern I made, convert it to a smart object, and then I'm placing it in the middle, making it real big and probably full screen, and I'm gonna stretch it out a little bit to don't tell anybody. I'm then going to remove the fill, double click on that layer and click on the bevel and emboss. And then I'm just gonna play around with the settings till I find the ones I like. Try a bunch of stuff out, different types of bevels. Then I add a grain adjustment on top of everything. And then I do that blend if with the separating the slider again for both the top and the bottom part. And I decide I want to add some more detail to the bevel, so I duplicate that beveled thing and place it upside down and just keep the same effect on it. Then I added a curve adjustment. This looks really cool. I'll merge everything together, and that's basically the final design. At this point, I got another idea, which was to create a black and white version of this, remove the background from it, and then use it as an overlay for like a video so that I could create like a little reel or something with it from it. So what I basically do is just add a threshold adjustment and play around with the slider. I then merge the layers I need all together, and then let's stop for a minute. I decide to save the daily design in the meantime. So what I usually do is save the first one and then create a copy of it and pull up the hue and saturation adjustment and just play around with the hue and saturation slider to find other color combinations and variations that I like. So at the end, I created these 4 color combinations that I like, and those are the ones I'm gonna post. And then let's go back to our video overlay part. I'm going to go to the blend if again, but this time I'm moving the current layer slider. This is basically gonna remove the background, and then I'll save as a PNG. Now the fun part. I found this cool video of these 2 hands, like holding hands, reaching in with this cool center gradient. I got this video from pexels.com. This isn't sponsored at all. I just use them all the time, and they're great. So in here, I'm using the object mask tool so firstly, I duplicated the video. So we have our video 2 times. On the top layer, I'm using the object mask tool, which is super cool. It's new. I love it. It saved my life so many times. And then I'll click on whenever it basically selects whatever it is you want to select. so fast, and all the frames too. And then you'll find it up here in the unassigned masks. You'll just press the play button and it will basically keep the selection for all the frames of your video, which is nice. So you just press play and wait a little bit, and then you're going to right click on it and change to opacity mask. And you can see we have a perfect cutout of our little hands without the background. Next thing is I went to the Lumetri color and just played around with the colors to get like a deep red color. I then duplicated that cutout, the hand cutout, and I changed the colors to have a more orange hue. Then I nested the orange one and I added some Gaussian blur to that. And then I stacked everything on top of each other. I added another copy with a lot of blur. And then I played around with the Lumetri color again for the background. So I made the background much, much darker. I wanted a VHS kind of looking effect. And also nothing is gonna glow if it's light outside. So it needs to be dark for stuff to glow. So that's what I did. And then on top of everything, finally we added our little frames with our quote. And now the problem is I wanted to have the same color as the video, so I just added a color replace effect, and I sampled the white and I turned it into red, and then I duplicated that and added my orange copy, and then to the orange copy I added some blur and lowered the opacity of the blur to get it looking like this. And then it looks really nice, but I wanted to add some final touches. And I'm not really a Premiere Pro expert or a video expert. I'm more of like a Photoshop girly or Illustrator girly. So some things I only know how to do in After Effects. Some things I only know how to do in Premiere Pro. So I added some noise to the video, exported it, imported it into After Effects, and in After Effects there's this preset that you can search in the Effects and Presets tab that is called VHS Flicker Effect. So I made 2 copies of the video, and to the top video I just gave it this VHS Flicker Effect, and I adjusted the values. I removed a couple of glows that it automatically puts in there because I didn't like them, and then edited and tweaked all these other settings for the blur and the wave warp and all that stuff. And then I finally got this, which is the final result. And I like it. I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. I know this is a different type of video, but maybe this way you get to see some sort of behind the scenes. Now, as I told you, these daily designs aren't pre-planned. They're done for this reason exactly, so that I can be creative and not have a plan and just let my creativity flow everywhere. So most of these are kind of all over the place. Some I like where I end up, some I like less where I end up, but the point of them is just to be creative and have new ideas, try different stuff. And I really like how this one turned out. So let me know what you think. Comment down below if you have any tutorial requests, suggestions, anything specific you guys want to see from me. Thank you so much again for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.